Hello guys, welcome to my channel Lucid Fanfic, and if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. So be sure to stick around until the end, and let's get started. Third POV. As we enter this reality, we come upon the Yagi's home. A loving family with a father, a mother, a brother, and a sister. However, what the son doesn't know is that his life will soon take a turn for the worst. His family will soon turn a blind eye to the actions of the daughter and what society does to the child. Their own actions will slowly turn into emotional abuse of their child due to their neglect of their oldest child, Izuku Yagi. However, when life gives you hardships, it also rewards you in the end. Let us follow the journey of Atlas, the hero of Reliance, who will should the world with his group. Time skip. Izuku Yagi, a 4-year-old child who was playing with his younger sister by one day when they were called away to the front office of their school. They said goodbye to their childhood friends Bakugo Katsuki and Bakugo Kasumi, who waved them goodbye. The brother and sister went to the front office and were picked up by their mother, who was taking them to the doctor's office to receive their results about their quirks. It was at this moment in the doctor's office that Izuku's life would take a turn for the worst, and it wasn't even his fault. It wasn't something he could control, nor could be blamed for. It was the fault of someone else, but he wouldn't learn of that fact until years later. After waiting for about an hour in the doctor's office since arriving, the doctor was finally ready to see them since the nurse had taken some of their blood and completed other tests on the Yagis when they first arrived. As they were called back to the main doctor's office, Izuku for some reason felt like his world was about to shatter. Only if he knew how right he was. "Hello, Mrs. Yagi. I have some good news and some bad news. Which one would you like me to provide first?" asked the doctor. Inko was shocked for a second, because how could there be bad news about her children's quirks? "I guess bad news first, please," she responded nervously. The doctor just looked at her and then backed down to his papers. He then put a page on the exam board that showed a foot x-ray. "As you can see, there isn't an extra toe joint in your son's body. However, his blood work came back and it shows no active signs of a quirk. This means that he will be quirkless." "I'm sorry," the doctor said. Izuku at that moment had dropped his All Might action figure down to the ground without even realizing it. Inko used her quirk to grab the toy while asking the doctor to explain more. "It should be impossible to not have an active quirk gene in the body, but your son doesn't show signs of having any active quirk gene. This means he won't receive a quirk," said the doctor one more time before moving on to the good news. "In the case of your doctor, we can see she will have a replicate of your quirk telekinesis. The quirk seems to be about as strong as your quirk is. As such, she should show signs of it in the next few weeks," the doctor said. Inko was thrilled for her daughter and turned around to her and hugged her. They were so happy that they didn't notice Izuku looking down with some tears in his eyes. "Can I still be a hero even without a quirk?" is the thought that went through Izuku's mind at that moment. Then he remembered heroes like Eraserhead, whose quirks only stopped other quirks. "Yes, I can. I just have to train and try harder than anyone else will so I can achieve my dream of being the #1 hero like All Might," thought Izuku. Though Izuku didn't show this determination on the outside, since he was still sad that his mother wasn't trying to console him and was only focusing on his sister's quirk. Inko just grabbed her things and told her son that it was time to go while she carried her daughter. The doctor knew what was going to happen, but he couldn't do anything about it. The boy's fate was sealed the moment he said that the son was quirkless. The doctor hated that fact and looked at the boy and said, "Just keep your head up high and don't give up. No matter what the world or your family throws at you," the doctor said. Izuku was confused about why the doctor said this. Surely his family would still love him? Surely his friends at school would still be his friends? Right? Izuku, his sister, and his mother all got into the car and started to head home. Izuku could only feel a pit of dread fill his stomach because he was not likely what he was seeing. His mother was only talking about his sister and hasn't even mentioned him once since they got in the car. It was all about how to celebrate his sister's getting her quirk like Izuku no longer existed. Soon they arrived at their home, which was a smaller apartment. Izuku found his father waiting inside for the family. As soon as they entered the house, he moved over to see how the doctor's appointment went. "Well, how did the doctors go? What quirks did they get?" Tashinori asked Inko. At this, Inko froze for a second and made a glance at her son. She sighed and then looked at her husband. "Izuku is quirkless, but Izumi has a replicate quirk of mine, which means it's pretty strong," Inko said. Tashinori walked over to Izumi and picked her up and started to cheer with her and said that he would start training her soon in the future so she could grow up to be a strong hero. The entire family moved into the kitchen to start eating dinner. However, in truth, it wasn't the entire family. They were missing the son who they left at the door. Izuku just realized how true the words of the doctor were turning out to be, and it hasn't even been a day since he was told he was quirkless. Izuku decides to just head to bed and hope that tomorrow would be different, that his parents would remember him and ask him how he was. Later that night, Izumi would realize her brother didn't eat dinner with the family. She still loved her brother because he would always protect her when a kid attempted to bully her. However, she was scared for him since she has seen fights on the TV that showed heroes fighting powerful villains. If he doesn't have a quirk, then how can he fight villains? Won't he just die? Is the thought that went through her mind. As such, a pure thought of a 4-year-old child turned Izuku's life for the next 5 years into hell. Time skip. It was now the next day at daycare. Izuku decided to go play in the sandbox by himself, while Izumi took their childhood friends off to the side. Hey, Katsuki. We got told our quirks, and mine is a version of my mother's quirk. Izumi said. Both of the Bakugos told her congratulations, but had asked about Izuku's quirk. Izumi hesitated at this second, but pushed forward because she didn't want to lose her brother. He doesn't have a quirk. He's quirkless according to the doctor. The doctor said he didn't have an active quirk gene in his body, even though he doesn't have the double toe joint in his body. Izumi said. This made both of the Bakugos freeze. Izuku always wanted to be a hero, so how was he going to do that if he didn't have a quirk? Then Izumi started to talk about her fears that she has about her brother becoming a hero and him dying to villains. The Bakugos agreed with Izumi and decided on a plan of action. If Izuku can't handle us picking on him, then he will realize he can't be a hero. We just need to be mean to him until he gives up on his dream of being a hero. Katsuki said. His sister didn't really know about that, but Izumi quickly agreed with the idea since she didn't want to lose her brother. Soon a plan of action was decided that would set fate into motion for Izuku. About 30 minutes into playing, Izuku saw his sister and childhood friends come over. Hey, brother, do you still want to become a hero? Izumi asked as they all were around Izuku. Izuku had a bad feeling but responded regardless. Yes, more than anything I want to be able to protect people with a smile on my face and let them feel safe when I arrive. Izuku said with a bright smile on his face. Katsuki then punched Izuku in the stomach while he yelled, "You should give up. Quirkless people can't become heroes," he yelled. Izumi just agreed as she kicked Izuku in the side. Soon Kasumi joined in a bit slowly but nonetheless joined in as well. They were calling Izuku names like useless, quirkless loser, and then Katsuki created a new name for Izuku. You know, your name can be read as Deku. That's it. You're Deku from now on, Katsuki said. Soon the bell went off signaling for everyone to return to class. Izuku got up and made his way back to the class while in pain. The day slowly passed, but soon the end of the day came and it was time for everyone to go home. As Izuku made his way home with his sister, she told him, "Just give up, or else we won't ever stop," Izumi said. Soon they made it home and his parents just welcomed them back. They didn't bring up Izuku's bruise, thinking he just roughhoused with Katsuki during daycare, or else the daycare would have called. Time skip. Izuku ate dinner with the family, but kept his voice silent. His parents were worried a bit, but put it off, thinking he was still upset over the news of being quirkless, and that he would soon start talking at the table again and being his cheerful self. Izuku made his way to his room after dinner and got on his computer and started to look up basic exercises that he could do for his age. He soon found a simple exercise plan for himself that included sit-ups, push-ups, running, planks, and some other things. He decided to start out small and slowly move his way up to higher amounts. It was at this moment that Izuku made his plan to start working out, since he needed all the time he could use to be ready to be the world's first quirkless hero. Izuku decided to start out with a set of 30 of each workout and working his way up to doing a mile run as soon as he could. Once he got used to doing that set without much trouble, he would slowly increase it. Izuku POV. It has been 2 years already since I was diagnosed as quirkless by the doctor. My situation has only gotten worse as time passes. The verbal and physical abuse has only gotten tougher from my sister and former friends. Katsuki likes to use his quirk on my body in places that can be hidden. His sister doesn't use her quirk on me, but still takes part in the physical and verbal abuse, though not to the same degree as the others. My sister. My own sister is the worst. She uses her quirk to trip me up and destroys my things by making them fall into puddles on the ground after it rained, or tearing my pages up out of my hero notebook. The teachers in the schools don't really do much. They will scold a bit, but never really punish them. Sometimes the teachers even slip up and call me Deku instead of my actual name. Other students have started to join in on the verbal abuse and physical abuse as well. My parents are an entirely different story. Flashback. One night, I was awake later than normal and could hear my parents talking down in the living room. Tosh, do you think Izuku is going to keep this phase up of his? He needs to learn that he can't just sulk forever about being quirkless. He is going to need to accept it and move on. My mother said. My father responded so after, and he said something that caught my attention. I don't know, honey. Maybe I should talk to him since I was quirkless as well, but that would also result in me having to talk about one for all, and I don't think it's a good idea to bring that up to him. I am planning to give it currently to Izumi, and I don't want Izuku to get upset about him not receiving one for all. I just don't see the same drive that Izumi has to be a hero that Izuku would need to be worth of one for all. Toshinori said. Flashback end. Something inside me broke at that. I don't really know everything about one for all, but it is clear that my own father was quirkless. He himself received a quirk from someone else. He thought I wasn't worthy of whatever one for all was, and was planning to give it to my sister. The same person who believed it was okay. That it was right. That it was acceptable to harm another person physically and verbally day in and day out. That was just hilarious to me. They also haven't realized that I haven't really spent much time with them in the past 2 years at all. I've learned how to cook my own meals because my own mother stopped making them for me. I had to at the age of 6 learn how to cook and clean for myself because my own family has more or less forgotten my existence. The only time they remember me is when they want to complain about me like that night. Otherwise, I don't exist. I'm in none of the family photos on the wall, nor am I ever taken out with the family to go meet people. I've resorted to doing random jobs for people in the neighborhood who take pity on me and give me some money for the random jobs. This allows me to pay for some of the things I need and the lessons I take outside of my parents' knowledge. I have also recently started taking martial art lessons at a local dojo that knows a bit about my situation and was willing to forego the parents' signatures to allow me in the dojo. Flashback. Izuku POV. I was running away from my sister and her friends one day after they decided to teach me my place, according to Katsuki. They decided to be extra tough on me that day. I knew I had some cuts across my back and several burns that will likely scar, thanks to Katsuki. My sister even used her quirk to throw rocks at me, which will leave a lot of bruises on my body. When I decided to take a new route that I saw one day, I had escaped my attackers, but I found myself in front of a dojo that had a sign that said they were looking for students. The sign said they teach multiple martial arts and basic handling of a pole weapon. This caught my attention, and I decided to walk into the dojo. I soon found myself in the building where I saw an older male sitting in a room drinking tea. Yes, I know it's Silver Fawn. I watched the male for a few moments when he spoke up, which made me fall back on my butt. I know you are outside, young child. Why don't you come in here? I can hear you breathing a bit off. Why is that? Asked the man. I decided to risk it and go inside. The only thing he could do worse than the others is to kill me. I soon made my way over to him and sat in front of him. Hello, child. What is your name? He asked me. I decided to see his reaction, so I went with my normal introduction when I want to know if I can trust someone. I'm Izuku, and I'm quirkless, I said with a straight face. He froze a bit while drinking his tea, but then kept going. I see. Now, why are you here, Izuku? He asked. He only slowed down for a bit before he kept going. So he either is really good at hiding his emotions or doesn't care, I thought. I saw the sign outside and would like to take classes. I can pay only a bit of money, and my family can't know about this. They would never agree since they see me as glass because I'm quirkless. However, I refuse. I am to be the world's first quirkless hero, I stated with determination. Fawn's POV. This child. I can tell that he is being harmed, but from who I don't know. He said his family treats him like glass, so it might be from his family or others around him. He seems to have done some physical training himself. The fact that he doesn't want his family to know is concerning and suggests that he might be getting harmed at home by family. The fact that he wants to be a quirkless hero is shocking because of how much determination I can see in his eyes. Interesting. Let's see how this goes, I guess. Oh, Please explain why I should risk my dojo by teaching you without your parents' consent? Even if they treat you like glass, they are sure to notice you gone for long hours that you would need to be gone to train. No, I asked. They won't. My family doesn't really acknowledge my existence. I've had to learn how to cook, clean, and take care of everything by myself because my parents have forgotten my existence. They only acknowledge me when they wish to complain about something. My sister and her friends physically and verbally attack me almost every single day, and my parents never notice the wounds and scars that lay across my body. So you wouldn't really be having any risk to your dojo. I already spend most of my time outside of the house doing some training or doing odd jobs to raise money for anything I need to survive, so they won't notice me gone anyway. Izuku said to Fong. Fong was pissed at what he heard. Izuku POV. After I told him a bit of my history, the old man just sat there in silence. Then he started to speak. Izuku, I will accept you here at my dojo. Also, you won't need to pay me anything to train here. I want this to be a safe place for you to escape to. Just make sure your family doesn't learn that you are coming here, since they would put a stop to it. I will also tell you this. I am a part of a mercenary group, so I will sometimes go away for missions every once in a while, but you will be free to enter the dojo and still train when you need to. Also, my name is Silver Fong. Just got me Fong, okay? The old man said, now known as Fong said. I was happy. He didn't reject me and accepted to train me. This would help me in the future, since I will have some actual training when I attempt to get in the hero course in the future. Replace the kid with Izuku. Flashback end. That was how I found myself learning from Fong about basic martial art styles and basic weapons handling for a pole weapon. I've so far been learning at a good pace according to Fong, since I only found him half a year ago. I also learned that Fong's quirk is a minor energy manipulation that allows him to put a lot of energy into his attacks, since he has trained his quirk to blend into his martial arts. Soon the time passed, and it was nearly the end of the year. I've been training at the dojo in martial arts, and Fong has had me building muscle a bit by clearing the dirty beach that is filled with trash. The beach is called Takoba Municipal Beach. Fong said it would help me build muscles over time and would be a great way to give back to the community. It has been relatively easy keeping my training hidden from the family, since it's not unusual for me to be out of the house, almost always. I would show up at the house after school, where my parents would ignore me and my wounds while they would welcome my sister home. After about 30 minutes, I would change clothes and head outside. I shouted back towards my parents that I was going to go out and would be back later. They would just wave their hands and never respond verbally to me when I said this. This didn't bother me as much as it did the first year anymore, since I knew by now that they didn't care for me, that they only cared for my younger sister. As such, I stopped trying to get their approval or attention, since I now had a goal and didn't want them to stop me. Third POV. Time skip. Time has passed, and now roughly 2.5 years have passed. It's been 4.5 years since I was diagnosed as quirkless, and 4.5 years since my family stopped caring about me. Over the years, I have completed quite a few things and have improved my training quite a lot. Fong has told me how proud he is of me with what I've completed. The beach that Fong wanted me to clean has been completed a few weeks ago. The beach started out with a large amount of trash, and I thought I would never clean it at my age. However, with Fong making a schedule for me and not allowing me to rush it, I was able to completely clean the beach. Soon the beach was cleaned and it looked amazing, and the results for my body have paid off. Though I'm still short a bit for my age, I still have a better body than most older adults. Fong said that we will move away from muscle building and to more training that will make my muscles more dense and firm, since I will need to be able to keep speed and agility as my main source of combat ability. This is because if I put too much muscle on, I won't be able to move fast enough or agile enough to defeat my opponents, and will be a sitting duck for attacks from others if I put too much muscle on, since it would slow me down. Fong had let me take a break from training since he needs to go out on a mission and would return in a few months' time. As such, I decided to return home earlier. Though, it seems I was unlucky on this day, because I would soon have a run-in with my favorite hero of all time, and I would learn several truths that would destroy my heart, but would lead me to have a large change in my life as well. Time skip. Third POV. We can see Izuku is on his way home. He decided to take a different path to go home, but would soon come to regret this decision. As Izuku walked under an underpass, he heard a noise from behind him. He turned around and was face to face with a sludge villain that just started to talk to him. Damn it, I didn't know he was in town. However, kid, today is your unlucky day. You will become my new bodysuit, and allow me to escape from him," yelled out the sludge villain as he attacked Izuku. Overall, Izuku was able to dodge the villain and even cause some damage by throwing rocks on the ground into the villain's eyes. This just pissed off the villain even more, but the villain ran out of time. The villain heard a sound coming from behind him and knew who it was. "Ahaha, have no fear because I am here," yelled out All Might as he came out of the sewer and did a Texas smash on the villain. All Might POV. "Damn it, I've lost the villain in these damn sewers. I just had to go and push myself today, didn't I? I'm just glad I will start Izumi's training soon so she can start getting a grasp on One for All in time before UA in 5 years." My thoughts cut off as I came out of the sewer and said my tagline. I saw my son. He was being attacked by the sludge villain. I yelled out my attack and knocked the villain out. However, my son soon asked me a question that I would later come to regret how I answer him. I would live with this regret for the rest of my life. "All Might, can I get a signature, please?" asked Izuku. I gave him the signature and was about to leave when he asked the question. "All Might, wait. I need to ask you a question. Please don't ask what I think you're going to ask, son." I thought. "Yes, young." I asked. He provided his name. "What is your question, young Yagi?" I asked him, knowing what he was likely going to ask. "Can I be a hero like you even though I'm quirkless?" Izuku asked. I looked him over and saw how baggy his clothing was on his body. In his condition, he could never be a hero, especially with the fact that he is quirkless. I could give him One for All. But, no. I plan to give it to Izumi, who has shown a drive to be a hero, unlike Izuku, who leaves the house all day and does God knows what. He hasn't talked to the family or shown a drive to be a hero at all. I thought. Then I said it. The words I would regret for the rest of my life. "Young Yagi, I can't tell you that you can be a hero. It's unrealistic for someone without power to beat people with power. I suggest you plan to be a cop or something. It's fine to dream, but you should be realistic about it," I said to him as I turned around and jumped away. If I had waited a few more moments, I would have seen the devastation on his face. I also didn't notice the bottle with the sludge villain slipping out of my pocket as I jumped away. Izuku POV. I didn't know what to think. All Might. He is the person that has always said on TV that anyone could be a hero. Yet, he doesn't think quirkless people can be heroes. That you need the power to be a hero? Then what about Eraserhead? What about Principal Nizu of UA, who quirks don't have any combat abilities? What about all those heroes who don't have combat quirks? I refuse to lower my head to that notion that quirkless people can't be heroes. I will prove everyone wrong. I will even prove you wrong, All Might. My family doesn't believe in me nor All Might. What's new? Nothing. My eyes just lit up in determination as I heard an explosion a few blocks away. I decided to go see what it was. Soon, I arrived at the site of the explosion and saw that the sludge villain that All Might had captured had escaped him. I then heard the crowd talking about how the villain had a kid hostage. I looked through the crowd and saw that it was Katsuki. For some reason, my body was about to run and save one of my main bullies when Green Tornado, the wife of All Might, showed up to save the day. She had pulled Katsuki out of the sludge villain when All Might showed up to smash the villain again. Everyone was congratulating Katsuki and telling him that he would be an amazing hero with his quirk. Yet they don't know he's suicide-baited last week. How is that hero material? I thought. Soon I started to walk away, but noticed something fly over my head, which looked like All Might and Green Tornado carrying 3 people. I decided I wanted to take a look, and I came upon a street near an alleyway where I heard the voices. It's All Might, Green Tornado, and those 3 voices sound like Izumi, Katsuki, and Kasumi. Why are they here? I thought. Soon I received my answer. Ahaha. We are her. Spits blood as your parents, Izumi, said All Might. Wait, parents. That means All Might and Green Tornado are my parents as well. That means All Might told his own son. I thought as I heard them talking more. Wait, if Dad is All Might, then Mom is Green Tornado? Why are you telling us? Asked Izumi. The reason we are telling you this is because your father's quirk needs to be passed on. But Kugos, we are trusting you since your family has been friends with us for a long time and you're our kids' friends. Inko says. All Might then goes to explain how One for All works, which made Izumi ask about me. Why not give it to Izuku? He does want to be a hero after all, and he is quirkless after all? Izumi asked. My parents just looked at each other, and All Might then said I don't think he has the drive to be a hero. He goes out all night and comes back at random times. He never communicates with the family either. Honestly, I'm worried that he might be doing some illegal things. My father said. That made me mad that they are blaming me for the communication problem. Also, they don't know if I have the drive or not since they never interact with me. The fact that they think I am doing criminal things also pisses me off. It was at that moment that I started to run back to the house. I wasn't going to stay with them anymore. I refused to stay there. I already have to take care of myself and earn money to live. I will just need to find a job to earn more to live, but I am sure I can do it. Time skip. Third POV. The rest of the Yagi family made it back to the house after talking some more. They soon entered the house, and Inko started to prepare dinner. However, no one noticed the missing member of the Yagi family. No one checked his room to see if he was there since they have never been in his room in years. As such, they didn't find the note, nor would they find the note for several days when Izumi would notice her brother was missing from class. It would be at that point the truth of what they have done would hit them. It would be at that point that they would realize they had lost their family member, and it was their fault. They would question themselves for quite some time if they would ever find their missing family member again, but unknown to them, it would be years before they came face to face with him. Izuku POV. Well, I've done it. I've grabbed my things and bolted out of the house. I grabbed most of my important things like my notebooks, clothing, money, and any personal items. I left all of the All Might merchandise in my room and had destroyed most of them since I now hate my father with a burning passion. He himself was quirkless and had a way for me to be a hero, yet he thinks I'm doing illegal things and was turning into a villain. If I did, it would be their fault since they neglected and abused me. I decided to make a stop at the beach that I cleaned before I would go find a broken-down house or warehouse to sleep in for the night. I don't want to go to Fong's dojo since I don't want to bother him. He's done enough for me over the years, and I don't want to burden him anymore, especially if my family found out about him. I don't need him getting into legal trouble and facing off against All Might in court. However, once I arrived at the beach, I found a fight going on between two men. One was an older male, while the other was a guy in an outfit that made him look like a villain. The older male had brown hair and some white mixed on the sides. He had a slash mark across his left arm from the sword in the villain's hand. Hisashi, it's time for you to die. I've been aiming to kill you since your group destroyed all of my operations years ago. Now I will have my revenge, yelled the villain. Damn it, the group isn't going to make it here in time. The man named Hisashi grunted out. As the villain raised his sword, I felt my body heat up for some reason as I started to run towards the villain. Wait, kid, stop, yelled Hisashi. The villain turned and saw me, but it was too late. Get away from him, I yelled out as I dodged the sword slash as Fong taught me, and then I landed my fist against the villain's jaw, which sent him flying far away down the beach. It sent him far further than I thought possible for my body's strength. What the? Hisashi said. Soon several black military-style trucks pulled up, and out came men in military gear. They ran over to me and Hisashi and yelled out for him. Sir, are you okay? And who is this boy? One man said. Hisashi looked over to them and said, I'm fine. The boy saved me right when I was about to be killed. My attacker is down the beach. The kid knocked him out with his quirk. Hisashi said. I don't have a quirk, I said, which made Hisashi and the mercenary look at me confused. Impossible with how far you hit him. The man in black said. I can't have a quirk. The doctor said I was quirkless. That's the reason my family neglected me. That's the reason I had to go through all the damn abuse. Why did the doctor lie to me? I just ran away from home. Because I couldn't take it anymore, and now I find out I have a quirk. God, life must hate me, I yelled out in anger. The other men had detained the villain and locked him into one of the trucks. They came around me and heard my yelling. Everyone was shocked as I just collapsed onto the ground. Hisashi POV. This kid saved me while thinking he was quirkless. I checked his body and saw he was just out of it for using his new quirk for the first time. I noticed under his shirt that he had trained his body quite well. He said he was neglected and abused, which caused him to run away from home. Maybe it was fate for us to meet. It's time to go. However, bring the boy with us. We're returning to Germany. Also, have a few men start looking into him. His ID in his pocket says his name is Izuku Yagi. Find everything you can about him and see if you can verify his statements about the abuse and neglect. Pull video footage from his schools and anywhere he goes. I told my men as I and Izuku were loaded into one of the trucks, which started to head towards the private airport for my company's planes. I might just have found a successor to take over Titan Group and all of my companies. I'm not getting any younger anyway, and Sophia always did want to adopt another kid when she and our son Ray was still alive after all. Third POV. It was a long time before Izuku woke up. This was due to the fact that his body wasn't used to using so much power from his quirk that he activated. It had laid dormant for years since he didn't try activating it. This meant the power had built up and put a lot of strain on his body when he first used it. Izuku soon found himself waking up in an unknown room. This room looked like a medical bay in some building. Ugh, what happened? Izuku groaned out as he attempted to sit up. However, he was pushed back down on the bed by a hand. Izuku opened his eyes and saw that it was the man named Hisashi. Who are you, sir? I know the villain said your name was Hisashi, but nothing else. Izuku asked the man. Oh, you don't recognize me? Hisashi asked, a little surprised that someone didn't know who he was. No. Should I? Izuku froze for a few moments as he saw the word Titan written on the wall across from him. Hisashi knew where Izuku was looking and was waiting for Izuku to put the information together. Hisashi Midoriya of the Titan Mercenary Group is responsible for carrying out a lot of undisclosed missions and a lot of disclosed missions for the UN and other governments of the world. You deal with threats that normal heroes can't deal with or threats that the government isn't willing to deal with. You also do private work for individuals that request and pay for it, but the missions can't go against any regulations set by the UN, which you make clear to any person seeking your group's help. Izuku said without taking a breath. This caught Hisashi's attention since Izuku knew a bit more than the average person would normally know of the group. Most people only know that the group does work for the UN, and that's it. Correct on your information, Izuku Yagi. Now can you tell me why you decided to help me with that villain, and what is going on with the new quirk you've just gotten? I want to hear everything from you before I make a decision on what to do with you. Okay? Asked Hisashi. Izuku felt warm and safe next to Hisashi, and he didn't know why. Izuku just agreed to give the person anything he wanted since Hisashi shouldn't harm him since Izuku had saved him. There wasn't much going on in my head when I helped you. My body just started to really move before I knew what I was doing. I had gone to that beach since I was the one that cleaned it. I wanted to stop at it before I tried to find a place to sleep for the night. I had just run away from my home since I could no longer take the neglect from my family and the abuse from my sister and everyone else. My parents ignored my wounds whenever I was home and thought I was doing illegal things since I went out to train every day. That day I had found out that All Might and Green Torindo were my parents. All Might had told me about 30 minutes before the second sludge villain attack that quirkless people could never be heroes and I should be realistic and go be a police officer or something. I later learned he was my father after he and Green Tornado took my sister and her friends Katsuki and Kasumi Bakugo off to an alley where they revealed their identities and told my sister some information. They also said that I didn't have the drive of being a hero and talked about how they thought I was doing illegal things since I left the house every day and came back later and wasn't communicating with the family. The problem with that thought process is that they stopped caring for me and talking to me when I was around 4 to 5. I had quickly learned how to cook, clean, and overall care for myself since my mother stopped cooking and doing things for me. I also started to do odd jobs for people to earn money to support myself since I was never given an allowance either. I did find a dojo that allowed me to train at. I don't want to say his name, so he can't get in trouble since Japan requires parent approval for training in dojos. This is a good overall summary of my life of being beaten, verbally abused by everyone, and neglected by my parents. And suicided baited as well recently. Anything else you need to know? Izuku said in one entire breath. This shocked Hisashi and the guards he had in the room since Izuku said that all in one go. Hisashi then looked over to one of his men who nodded his head and made a sign that showed Hisashi that Izuku was 100% truthful. This man had a quirk that was similar to a lie detector. The quirk allowed the guard to see a person in colors when activated. The more red someone turned meant that the person was lying more and more. However, if the person turned green, then they were being more truthful. It didn't let them know what was a lie or a truth, but allowed them to see how truthful someone was being with them overall. This allowed them to get a general idea if they could trust the person. Izuku never said one lie and was 100% green. Hisashi was disturbed by the amount of pain and suffering Izuku had gone through and could still smile and help people that he didn't even know when he had thought he was quirkless. Hisashi had come to a decision. Izuku was going to be his new son, and he would raise him how he should have been. So, I will be truthful. I had a guard in the room with a quirk that allows us to tell how truthful you are, Hisashi said as he pointed out the guard to Izuku, who just waved at the guard. The guard looked like he wanted to laugh. I am amazed at the fact that you can still smile after so much pain. You even saved me when you didn't even know me nor thought you had a quirk. For that, I want to offer you a new path for you to take in your life. You can reject me, and I'll help you in another way. But the offer I want to make is to adopt you. My wife and son are deceased now, and I'm alone in this world. As such, I want to take you in as my new son. My wife was always wanting to adopt a child when she was still alive. As such, Izuku Yagi, do you want to become Izuku Midoriya? Hisashi asked. Izuku POV. I froze. I didn't know what to think. I was just offered to be adopted by Hisashi Midoriya, the leader of the Titan Group and the world's wealthiest businessman. If I accepted, I could get far more help on becoming a hero. However, how will he be able to adopt me when my parents are top heroes in the country? I want to accept. However, how would you adopt me since my parents are the top heroes of the country? They wouldn't let it happen. I asked. Hisashi just looked at me and laughed a bit. Izuku, we aren't in Japan anymore. We're in Germany. You've been asleep for about 2 to 3 days now. It's Monday currently, and I've checked the news, and so far they haven't noticed you're gone. Also, adopting you will be easy since it can be done here in Germany, and the UN will approve of it. They owe us a lot of favors, and when they learn about how All Might was to his own child, and me wanting to adopt the said child, well, they will agree quickly since they have always been concerned about who would inherit my companies and mercenary group. Hisashi said, then please adopt me. Wait. What? I said. Hisashi just laughed at me. I pouted a bit, and he just grabbed my head and made a mess of my hair. Yes, as my son, you will need to learn how to handle the Titan Group and run all of my business. As such, being my son is no easy task since you must be strong to run the mercenary group and smart enough to run the companies. You will also need to train to be a hero if you are still wanting to do that. When you are old enough, you can enroll in the #1 hero school in the world that is located here in Germany. Though we do need you to learn German and some other languages soon so you can help in the business and the mercenary group. Hisashi said, though he didn't know I know parts of other languages since Fong taught me some on the side. It's mostly enough for very, very basic conversations and directions. I do know some parts in German and other languages to hold very basic conversations and ask for directions, I said while speaking German. This caught everyone's attention quickly. Can you tell me where you learned since that was pretty decent? Hisashi asked. I explained that it was the same person that taught me martial arts in the dojo. The dojo owner knew some other languages and taught me basic phrases and things, so I could have some basic understanding if I ever needed it. Then I remembered that Fong would be wondering what happened to me when he returned to Japan from his mission. He says, sorry, I mean Dad. He had asked me to start calling him that. Could you have someone deliver something to the dojo owner so he doesn't worry about me? He knew some of my home life, but not everything. He might get worried once he returns to Japan from his mission. He was a mercenary as well. His name was Silver Fong. I said. Dad had a very shocked look on his face, and everyone in the room came to a stop and looked at me. I asked what was wrong and soon got shocked myself. Izuku, are you sure his name was Silver Fong? Asked Dad, which I confirmed and gave a general description. Son, you don't have to worry about him. I'll call him later and have him come to Germany. He actually works for me. He was one of the people I was going to have you train with later on. He is one of my top mercenaries that works for me and carries out missions from time to time in the Asia area. Dad said. I was shocked. The person I've been learning from worked for my new father. How the hell does that happen? Well, the world works in weird ways. Anyways, we should prank him. When you have him come, you shouldn't say it's about me, so we can surprise him when he sees me. I said while fist pumping in the air since I could never get a prank on Fong while I was at his dojo. Dad just looked at me like I was crazy and I told him why I wanted to prank him. Dad just shook his head and laughed a bit. Dad had a doctor bring over some test results that they had run on me while I was asleep. We then started to talk about my newfound quirk and what the Titan Group had discovered while researching me to verify my story on the beach about a new quirk. They discovered that the doctor's office we went to had made a mistake and given me the blood results of another person who was indeed quirkless. The results for the blood work that the Titan Group ran showed I had a high level of quirk genes in my body. It was to the point that they brought in one of their men from another base nearby and had him look at me. This guard had a quirk that could figure out someone's quirk once it was activated. We soon learned that I had two quirks and something that neither the doctors nor agent could understand. The quirks were Solar Stockpile and Energy Manipulation. See descriptions in the author note page. The Solar Stockpile has been passive my entire life since I never attempted to activate it, but it was growing in power and would keep growing. All the time I was in the sun, I was absorbing power without knowing it. Now I will absorb power at a faster rate since I now have it active. I could also manipulate my energy to come outside my body or use it inside my body. Dad said we would train my quirks later and get a better understanding of my current limits and figure out ways to improve them. Then we talked about the unknown quirk or power. The agent and doctor said it's something that is requiring a third-party source to trigger, but don't know what it is. They explained that there is a chance it will never activate, and I shouldn't worry about it since we don't know if I will ever receive it. As such, it was time to go to my new home. Ready to go home, son? Dad asked. Yes, I responded. This was the start of my new life in Germany. Third POV. Soon Izuku and his new dad Hisashi arrived outside, where they got into an armored car that was parked out front of the Titan's medical base. Once inside, Izuku and Hisashi were then driven towards the center of the city. I hope you don't mind, but we will live in the city. It's not a large mansion, but a large business building that I run the Titans organization out of. The business all have separate buildings, but I do most of Titans and the business meetings in this main building, where I have many floors dedicated to residential space for me and now you. There are many different things that the Titan group has in the building, but also private levels just for you and me, Hisashi said. After about a 35-minute drive into the city, they pulled up upon a large skyscraper that towered over all of the other buildings and had a train line connection to the building. Hisashi explained that it's for a large number of supplies to be brought into the building since the building also houses agents a lot of the time on the lower levels underground. Imagine a large grass and tree area that surrounds the bottom of the building. There are other buildings, but they are on other blocks. The Titans Group building sits in the center of a block of land. I'm going to show you around the house and let you get comfortable for a bit before I take you and introduce you to all the leaders of Titan. You will meet the board of directors for my businesses later, but it's more important that you meet the Titan leaders first. You will be working with them sooner than the business leaders since you will be trained by Titan for your future. Hisashi said. I understand, Dad. Thanks again for all of this. Izuku said. Hisashi just placed his hand on top of Izuku's head, which he just leaned into since he hasn't really ever gotten warm and kind touching from anyone. I like it when you put your hand on my head. It feels nice. Is this what it feels like to be loved? Izuku asked in a low tone, not thinking Hisashi would hear, but he did. Hisashi just wanted to kill All Might, but that would cause trouble in Japan. And the UN wouldn't be happy. They would look the other way and approve an adoption, but not the killing of All Might. They entered the building and took an elevator that only Hisashi and a few people could access, and went up to the private living floors that belonged to Hisashi and Izuku only. These floors were the top 6 floors. They arrived and Izuku saw the living room, which looked like. Off to the side is the large kitchen. Now you said you know how to cook, which is good. Sometimes I will be out for work. However, if you don't want to cook one night and I'm not here to do so, then you can call downstairs to the building kitchen staff who can prepare something for you, and they will call you down to grab it since no many people have access to these floors. Hisashi said. Now, I have a large wine collection room that doesn't have a key on the door. I'm trusting you to know that you can't drink anytime soon. I don't care if you want to use some wine to cook with though. However, please let me know which wine bottle you use so I can drink the rest later on so it doesn't go bad. Also, try to keep using the same bottle of wine for cooking so you don't open more than we need. Hisashi said. I understand. Izuku replied. Now this is the main floor of the living area. We have different things on different floors, but we have 3 floors with many bedrooms on it which are all above the living area floor. I live on the floor right above this floor. Then we have 2 more floors. I think you would like the room on the very top floor. Let me show you. Hisashi said. Izuku's room. The room had a TV that was on the roof that could slide down by a remote, and also had additional rooms connected to it. One room was the master bathroom, which could fit multiple people. The next room connected to Izuku's bedroom was a game room. The last of Izuku's room is his dressing room. Now, we've seen your room. Let's go look at the rooms I use for myself, or where I spend a lot of time, so you know where you might find me without searching each room. Hisashi said. Soon they found themselves in Hisashi's room. Main study room. Izuku will use it from time to time as well. Billiard room. Hisashi's main office uses it when he doesn't go down to Titan floors. Now let's move down to the other rooms that we have on our private floors that are below the main living floor. We have a large pool/spa room first. Hisashi said. On the last private floor, we can also find a combat/training floor, which does connect to a separate weapons training room as well. Izuku POV. I was shocked at the number of things that are limited to just Dad and myself. I know he had a child and wife before, but even then, this is a lot of space for just 3 people. I know I want to ask Dad about his deceased wife and son later, but not right now. I will when it feels more comfortable doing so. Soon though we finished looking at the other random rooms, which just contained either empty bedrooms or rooms that I will likely not touch since even Dad said he doesn't touch them. Most of the rooms were storage rooms for old things that he has gathered over the years from missions. After spending about 2 hours relaxing around the house and getting used to the place, Dad returned with a keycard, an ID, and some medical injection device. What is all that? I asked him. This keycard is to get you into the building. The ID is for you to keep in the event you're ever asked for identification. The UN has approved the adoption and they were pissed to hear about what All Might did. As such, the ID is your new papers and proof of citizenship here in Germany, and your name is now Izuku Midoriya. The UN did have to invalidate your Japanese citizen when they got Germany to grant you German citizenship since I live here almost year-round. Hope you're not mad about that. Izuku wasn't also. The medical injector is for a microchip to be placed in your body. This chip acts as a keycard to get into the private living floors as well as any secured room that belongs to Titan or my businesses. It can also be used to access any private document or other things that belong to me. Your authorization matches mine, so don't abuse this. It also acts as a GPS, but is deactivated unless we ping it. Hisashi said. He also handed Izuku a phone that could alert the Titan mercenary group that he needed help. To alert the nearest Titan group of your location and that you need assistance, you just press the special button built on this phone. Hit it 5 times to request a ride from your location. Hit it 10 times if you need a tactical assault group on your location because of a threat. Hisashi said. Thank you. Dad, while we are just talking, can you tell me about your deceased wife and son? I would like to know about them since they would have been my family if they were still alive. Also, would it be weird if I called them mom and brother? I asked a bit nervous since I really wanted to learn about them. Dad was silent for a moment before he started to talk. Soon he explained what they were like and what they liked to do. He also explained that they died due to a villain attack when he was younger, and that is how the Titan group came to be since he didn't want more people to go through his pain. Also, it wouldn't be weird for you to call them that. I'm sure they would be happy in heaven to hear that from you, Dad said with a smile on his face. I just hugged him and thanked him again for giving me a home. Another hour passed, and it was time to go meet the leaders of the mercenary group Titan. These leaders were the people that commanded most of the group when Dad was not directing managing something. Dad also said that Silver Fong was waiting downstairs as well, but Fong didn't know what he was called for. As such, we headed down to the lower levels below the ground floor and into the Titan floors. We soon arrived at the main command floor of Titan, and the elevator opened. Everyone in the room saluted to Dad when they entered the room. However, one did not because he was too shocked. Izuku, why the hell are you here? Yelled Fong, which made everyone look at him in shock since it's hard to get him to yell. Yes, I got a big reaction out of you, Fong, I said as I ran up and hugged him. He was still shocked, and so was everyone in the room except Dad since he knew this would happen. I see you know my new adopted son Izuku, Fong, Dad said. Fong just looked up at him in surprise, and then his face turned into one filled with rage, which confused everyone in the room except me and Dad since we know why he is pissed. Izuku, he just said new adopted. I know your home life was horrible, but for you to get adopted. What did they do? Fong said with the last part in a very cold tone, which made a lot of the Titan members freeze since Fong was a veteran mercenary that rarely got pissed off. Soon Dad explained everything that happened and how so far my old family still hasn't found out about me leaving home yet. Fong was not happy. Hisashi, I would like to have myself reassigned to Germany so I can keep my training of Izuku going. I'm assuming you're introducing him to everyone with the intention of him taking over Titan and all of your business. If so, I approve of him and will start increasing the training I've been doing with him. Fong said. All of the leaders of Titan were catching up with the information, but soon realized who I was and why I was there. The reason that Dad wanted to introduce me to the Titan leaders was that we needed them to approve of me leading them in the future when Dad decides to step down and let me take over. It seems Fong approving of me had a large impact on them though, so it seems it will be easier to get done. Hello everyone. I'm pleased to meet my dad's men. I hope we can work well together in the future and I can learn a lot from you all, I said as I bowed my head a bit to show respect to them. It seemed to work as none of them were voting rejections of me being there. One leader did ask for confirmation of what Dad had planned for me, and Dad told them everything about me taking over the mercenary group in the future, the businesses, and the plans for me to become a hero since that was my goal of doing. He also told them how I was assumed quirkless due to a lab result and how I awakened my quirk to save him. From what we know, his quirk stockpiles power off of light energy or solar. So I plan to have a solar generator room created that Izuku can use to supply himself quicker instead of me relying upon the sun 24/7. It will also act as a backup power source for the building if the main supply and backup fail for some reason. Soon we had reached an agreement on a general plan on how I would be trained. Fong would keep teaching me martial arts. Leader number 1 Kale would teach me weapons training. Leader number 2 Mark would teach languages and general education to ensure I'm up to speed when I start middle school next semester. Leader number 3 Ace would be teaching me tactics and strategy in combat and how to incorporate my martial arts and weapons training into real combat while planning. When they talked about strategy and planning, I had remembered my notebooks and decided to show one that I had kept on me in my hoodie. Hey Dad, I want to show you this. I don't know how good it is, but since I had planned to be a quirkless hero, I studied quirks and heroes, I said. He started to look over the book and then called Ace over, who looked at it and was impressed. Izuku, this is really good work. A bit messy, but overall good work. We will incorporate this in your planning and strategy training, Ace said, which made me happy that it was considered good for me learning it myself. Soon we talked a bit more before I and Dad headed back upstairs for the night to eat. Third POV. It has been about 6 days since Izuku had run away from home. He ran away on a Friday night after the sludge villain incident. He fell asleep and awoke in Germany on Monday. As such, it's now Wednesday afternoon, and Izumi is returning home worried since she hasn't seen her brother at school on Monday, Tuesday, or today. She ran into the house and called out for her parents. "Mom, Dad," Izumi yelled. The parents came towards the door worried about their daughter's tone. "Yes, Izumi, what is it that has you sounding so worried?" asked Inko. Toshinori just stood by looking worried for his daughter. "Have you seen Izuku? I haven't seen him at school for the past few days, and I've just noticed I haven't seen him in a while either. The last day I know I saw him was on Friday last week," Izumi said, which caused her parents to freeze. Inko was worried about her son, and Toshinori was worried about his son, but also because what he said has come back to hit him in the face. He just realized the true weight of the words he said in his all-might form and was starting to freak out about what Izuku could have done based on his words. Izumi decided to run into Izuku's room and check if he was in there or not since no one has seen him. The sight she found was horrifying for her. "Dad, Mom, get in here," Izumi yelled out in fear. The parents came running in and froze at what they saw. "Oh no, what did I do?" thought Toshinori. They found Izuku's room destroyed. All of his all-might toys and collection were destroyed on the ground. "There is a note," Izumi said as she picked it up and started to read. Then she dropped it after she read it. "I'm so sorry, Izuku. I'm so sorry," Izumi said as she started to cry out. Her parents made their way over to the note, and they were shocked into tears as well. The note read as the following. "Dear Toshinori Yagi and Inko Yagi, if you're reading this, then that means you found the note. It also means I ran away because I couldn't take the abuse and neglect anymore. You're wondering what I'm talking about, aren't you? What abuse? What neglect? I'm talking about how you all forgot about me since I was diagnosed as quirkless at the age of 4. From that moment forward, you all started to forget about me and ignore my existence. Don't say you didn't, because Inko, when was the last time you cooked me a meal or fed me anything? Ah, that's right. It was about the age of 5. I had to learn how to cook and clean for myself, or I would have starved to death long before now. Now let's move to the abuse. Neglect is a form of abuse, but I'm also talking about physical and emotional abuse. Emotional abuse. You all just never supported me and treated me like glass. You left me to die or survive on my own and never gave me any positive reinforcement in my life. Next, we have the physical abuse. Sure, neither of you got physical, but your golden girl daughter sure did with her friends. Did you know that she started to beat me at the age of 4? She got Katsuki and Kasumi Bakugo together with her, and they would physically and verbally abuse me. They would use their quirks on me or my property. This went on from the age of 4. It was even done in front of the teachers, and they never did anything. Even the other students started to attack me physically and verbally day in and day out. Did you know, my dear sister and her friends created a new name for me? It's Deku, meaning worthless. They used it so much that everyone at school and the teachers would use the name to call upon me. As such, I had no choice but to respond to it. Do you know what it feels like to have your humanity ripped from you? No, I'm doubtful even you do, Toshinori. Even though you used to be just like me. I did hear everything in that alley when you told the 3, by the way. Funny, isn't it? I was said to be without drive to be a hero, and the abusers were said to have the drive. Did you know that those abusers also told me if you want a quirk so badly, then go take a swan dive off the roof and pray for it in your next life? How am I without the drive to be a hero? Did you know from the age of 4 I trained every single day and learned martial arts and some weapons handling, so I could become the world's first quirkless hero? Ironic how my fate was sealed that day at the age of 4. It's so ironic that even the quirk doctor knew that day that I would end up with this result. As another statistic. I don't want to be another statistic. Did you know I met All Might the day I saw you all in the alley and learned the truth about you two? Did you know I was told to be realistic by All Might after he saved me from a villain? It's okay to dream, but keep it realistic. All Might said, I wonder if All Might ever looked at the quirkless statistic for employment. Toshinori, do you think he ever looked? Because I don't think he did. I think if he was like me and wanted to be a hero so badly that he refused to look at them. However, I know them. 95% of quirkless people can't find a job anywhere, Toshinori. Do you think All Might knows that quirkless people aren't seen or treated as humans? That we are treated as dogs that can be killed on the spot? I refuse to be a dog anymore for this family. I refuse to have my humanity stripped from me anymore like I'm so lab rat. I have the right to life just as much as the next person. However, this world seems to be set on removing my human rights, to strip me of my humanity. As such, I ran away from home and decided to make a new life for myself. I've survived in this house doing everything myself. As such, I'm off to make an attempt to create a new life for myself in the world. Will I survive or will I die? That's the question now, isn't it? I wonder though when you will notice my absence. I'm betting on Izumi noticing I've been gone from school for roughly 2 to 3 days before she alerts anyone. That would just be sad that you didn't realize your child was gone for so long. How are you going to explain this to the world, Toshinori? I hereby disown myself from the Yagi name. From your former son Izuku. The letter was shocking. They didn't know how to react. Their son was gone for days, and they just realized it. What is worst is that they can't deny anything that was said in the letter. Inko had broken down in tears on the floor as she started to remember the little amount of time she had spent with her son. Toshinori just felt sick to his non-existent stomach. He felt like One for All was trying to rip him apart because of how angry it was with him. Izumi, is what's said in the letter about you and the Bakugos true? Toshinori asked slowly, fearing the answer. She didn't answer for a few moments, but responded. Yes, I don't know about the suicide baiting part, but everything else was true to my knowledge. Izumi said. This just made the parents break down even more. I need to call Nizu, Gran Torino, Naitai, Recovery Girl, and the detective. We need their help. Toshinori said. This was how bad it was. All Might was willingly calling his old sidekick who he hasn't talked to in a long time. Time skip. 2 hours had passed, and everyone was in the room in front of the Yagi family. So All Might, please tell us what you called us for. You said it was a family emergency. Nizu said. Everyone was wondering what it was. All Might handed Nizu the letter, and he started to read it. As time passed, his face became angrier and angrier. Nizu throws the teacup at All Might. This shocked everyone that didn't know what the letter said since Nizu loves tea. Are you kidding me? How dare you, All Might? I should arrest you right now for what you've done. You're lucky you're the damn symbol of peace, or you would be sitting in jail tonight. Nizu raged out. Everyone else that was called was really confused at this point. What was in the letter that was so bad that set Nizu off like that? Sir Night-Eye grabbed the letter so he and the others could read it. They soon understood what happened, and they understood why Nizu was acting like he was. Why did we never learn of your son until now? Gran Tornio yelled out. He was so pissed off because Tashinori was a hypocrite for treating his son this way, for telling him to be realistic. It never crossed our minds. It just happened that we pushed him out of our lives, and it resulted in this. Tashinori said. Bullshit. Stuff like this doesn't just happen. Recovery Girl said. Sir Nightai had a guess that All Might had planned to give Izumi the quirk and wanted to know if he had done it already. All Might. I'm guessing you were planning to give Izumi one for all. Please tell me you didn't give it to her already. If you did, she needs to give it to someone else since she is clearly the wrong type of person for it. Your son is a far better person to wield it and should receive it. Sir Nightai said with a cold tone. Izumi just flinched at this and spoke up. No, he hasn't given it to me, and I have to agree I don't deserve it, Izumi said with some tears in her eyes. Inko just put her hand on her shoulder and rubbed. Soon the conversation moved to what to do next. You guys will have to report your son missing. Are you going to do it as the Yagis or as the Hero family? Do it as Yagis, and there won't be much search by police and heroes due to bias against quirkless people. Announce it as heroes and your reputation takes a hit, but you will get a better search going. The detective asked. It was soon decided that it would be done as All Might and Green Tornado since they needed to own up to this. All Might wouldn't have his form forever. As such, it would get linked back to them anyway. Better to deal with it now rather than later. Time skip. A day has passed and Mighty Tower had arranged a press conference. Everyone was wondering why the meeting had been called, and soon they would receive their answer. There was even an agent from Titan at the meeting recording for Hisashi, who wanted to be kept up to date on the Yagi's movements for a while. Soon All Might and Green Tornado came out to the stage. Reporters were trying to ask all sorts of questions. Soon things calmed down, and they started. Thank you for coming. Today, my wife and I are announcing the start of a missing person case that is personal to us. The mission person is my son Izuku Yagi, who has gone missing as of last Friday. All Might said. This created a shocking amount of reactions. It was known that the family had a daughter, but didn't know her name. Now the family just confirmed a son that no one knew about who is now missing. People wanted answers. Reporters were asking questions left and right. Our son ran away from home due to neglect from our family and the physical violence that he received from his school that was never reported. All Might said. The Yagis then went on to explain the result of their neglect and how their quirkless son had gone missing and that they had only now noticed. Our treatment of our son wasn't correct, nor should it be accepted in society. All we're asking is for people to help us find our son and allow us the chance to redeem ourselves with our son. Inko said. They provided a picture they obtained from the school yearbook that showed their son. Though it was a vast understatement of how he truly looked since he was far buffer than the clothing showed. Some reporters asked if All Might and Green Tornado would be brought up on criminal charges. At this time, we don't know what the police will do with us. We will have to wait and see, stated Inko. Soon the press conference came to an end and the entire of Japan was in an uproar. Quirkless rights groups were protesting against All Might and Green Tornado while others were just wanting people to focus on finding the child. However, what no one knew but a few was that Izuku was no longer in Japan but on an entirely different continent. Time skip. 1 week has passed, and the police judgment has come back for everyone involved. The Yagis and Bakugos with the other people that know about OFA were all sitting in a room at Mighty Towers. I just want to be clear. None of you can ever enter UA on recommendations. You entering UA will be a very great blessing, and you will be on probation during your entire time at UA. You're still young and have time to grow. You're lucky that the laws prevent you from being arrested for villain acts since protects you for quirk usage until the age of 8, which you are all at. Anything from this point forward involving quirk usage will be a villainous act. Your records will show the bullying though, stated Nizu. Everyone agreed with this. You 3 will be required to attend therapy and anger management moving forward and while you attend UA or any hero school in the future. Failure to comply results in being kicked or banned from a hero school. Nizu said. Once again, everyone agreed with it. Now the adults. You 2 have received a suspension from hero duties for 2 months. You will be required to pay a hefty fine and do a lot of volunteer work. The only reason you're not in jail is because of how much this country relies on you to support it, and overall you haven't screwed anything else up. As such, you're walking on very thin ice. Any screw-up in the future will result in prison time being added on right away without trial due to the agreement you signed. Do you understand that? Nizu asked, and they said they understood. They would face 10 years in prison if they screwed up even once more in regard to any action against a child. They only got away from prison time due to their clean records and how much the country relies on them, as Nizu said. Now, so far there hasn't been any luck in Izuku's case. No one can find him. The police don't believe they are going to have much luck either. They aren't finding any clues and think the case will go cold soon. If the case goes cold for longer than 6 months, then he will be declared dead. The detective said, "You do understand how likely it is for him to actually survive on the streets at his age, right?" The detective asked, and no one needed to hear the answer since they all knew it. They had an 85% chance of finding him being dead in an alley. They didn't need it verbally said. "I will keep you up to date on the case even after it goes cold, but the longer it's cold, the likelier it's for him not to be alive." "I'm sorry," said the detective as he got up and left. It was not known at the time, but it would be years before they would meet Izuku again. Even then, they refused to make a grave for him and refused to admit that he was dead. They refused to give up at their last chance of making it up to their son or brother. Third POV. Izuku had gotten used to his life with his new father rather quickly. He would wake up and make breakfast for both him and his father, and then go down to their private training room and do some light workout before returning upstairs to eat with his father before they went about their day. Each day, Izuku would create some new breakfast, and today was a traditional Japanese breakfast. "I'm going to give up on trying to stop you from cooking all the time. I'll just cook the other meals since you seem to enjoy doing breakfast all the time anyway," Hisashi said as he came down to the kitchen and sat down with Izuku to eat. "I also do it because I noticed you tend to not eat breakfast if I don't. As such, it's to make sure you don't go hungry during the day either," Izuku said while sticking his tongue out at his dad, who just gripped it with his chopsticks. "Cheeky brat," Hisashi said. Soon they finished eating, and Izuku went down with Hisashi to start their day. Hisashi would go do work for his business and mercenary group, while Izuku would find the Titans group leader for that day and start his lessons. Today's lesson was with Ace, and we would be working on my understanding of strategy in combat. We would also start working on applying my knowledge of quirks in combat, as well since I've gotten good enough to pinpoint the weakness of quirks during combat in real time. "Hello, Ace. What are we doing today?" Izuku asked. "We are going to work on you leading a team from a remote location into a battle. You will be given all the information you typically might know, and it will be up to you to lead that team to win or fail. We will use the simulation room for this, which will generate the battlegrounds for you, and you will have a team of agents under your control, while someone else will have a team as well," Ace said. Soon we made it down to one of the deeper floors, and Izuku was led into a command center looking room. Izuku could see on the table a hologram of the battlegrounds where the fight would take place in the simulation room. Izuku spent 30 minutes reading over the intel that he was provided, and he made notes to remember important things. Soon, he was ready for the fight and radio into his team. "Radio check, men," Izuku said, and received a radio check back from his 5 men that were under his command. Soon Izuku relayed information he believed that they would need, and the battle started. Izuku had split them into 2 teams with 2 men together and the other 3 together. The 2 men were off to the side a bit from the main team and would react to threats that presented themselves when the main team was spotted. Izuku had split them like this because the 2-man team quirks helped each other fight and allowed them to react far quicker than the other 3. Soon the teams came across the enemy, and Izuku's plans were coming out in his favor. Alpha 1 and 2. Be watching for a tango that likely split from the main group. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to come around the long way on your sides. Izuku called out to his 2-man squad. As Izuku thought, there was a man with a camo quirk that was trying to sneak around them. They were able to kill the threat and moved on winning the game by forcing the other team to give up due to them being trapped from multiple sides. Izuku had his 2-man squad come from the enemy side and forced them to be trapped due to fire that the 2-man squad had set. Well done. There were some mistakes, but those will go away with the experience. One thing to point out is the fact that the camo quirk user could have gone to the other side. He didn't, but it was a real possibility. You need to account for situations like that next time, Ace said. Izuku had noticed that 2 hours had passed since they had started. Izuku had asked what would be next, but Ace said he was done for the day since it finished sooner than he planned. As such, Izuku decided to go out in the city and enjoy himself. Ace told Izuku to take at least 2 plaincloth guards with him since Hisashi would be devastated if he lost Izuku. Izuku knew he shouldn't risk anything since if people found out his connection they would come after him. As such, he did stop by the room for agent assignments. Hello. I was thinking of going out to enjoy the city since I haven't gotten the chance to since I've arrived in the past 2 weeks. Ace told me that it would be better if I got some guards to come with me in plain clothes, and I agree since it would make Dad happy as well. Do you know if there are any agents open to an escort assignment currently that would be willing to go? Izuku asked. Yes, we got several agents that are needing some experience since they are a bit newer. They are trained to handle the situations, but they do need some more hands-on experience. How far are you planning to go? If you are going far or deep into the city-populated areas, then I will assign others. If going in a less populated area, then they should be fine. Asked the assignments agent. I'm planning to go to the forest nearby. I think it's called the Plenterwald Forest. It has a playground on it. I've never really gotten to enjoy playgrounds without being attacked back in Japan, so I want to try to have some fun for once. Izuku said. By now most of Titan's agents know basic details of Izuku's past. They know he didn't have a good life back in Japan before being adopted by their leader. That will be a fine area for these 2 newer agents. Please go wait in the lobby, and I will have them retrieve you from there. Have you told your father that you would be leaving the building, or would you like us to inform him? The agent asked. I'll do it myself. I'll send him a text message. Izuku said. Soon Izuku arrived in the lobby of the building and waited for the agents. About 5 minutes later, one agent came up to him and introduced himself. Hello, sir. I'm Kate. The other agent is outside in the car waiting for us. Kate said. Soon Izuku and the agent named Kate got into the car and drove to the forest. Izuku learned the other agent's name was Dale. After about 10 minutes of driving, and they arrived. Thank you guys for coming with me. I know my father would be a bit worried if I didn't take anyone with me. Izuku said. The agents just thanked Izuku for letting them come since they didn't have much experience. Even though Izuku was trained well in martial arts and other things and acted like an adult, sometimes he was still only a 9-year-old kid. As such, he wanted to play around and not fear getting bullied, which he could do here in Germany. Izuku came upon a park area in the forest that had things made out of wood. Izuku saw other kids playing around and started to wander around. He could notice his guards blending in with the crowd. Soon Izuku started to play with other kids around his age and was enjoying himself. Some time passed, and he introduced himself to 2 kids that were playing by themselves. Hello, my name is Izuku. What are your names? Izuku asked. The 2 kids looked at Izuku and introduced themselves as well. Hi, I'm Luke and this is Kyle. We have another friend named Seth, but he isn't here today. Do you want to play with us? Asked Luke. Izuku agreed, and soon they hit it off and started to play games together. However, during this entire time, they never made physical contact with each other. That was a key factor in finding out something. Izuku and the 2 boys soon made their way deeper into the forest area, which was outside the viewing area of his guards. Izuku didn't realize that at the time he had set his 2 guards on a chase on trying to find him since they no longer could see him. About 30 minutes later, both Luke and Kyle touched Izuku. It was at that moment that Izuku felt pain across his body, but it was more concentrated in his left and right biceps. Oh, why am I in so much pain? Izuku yelled out. This caused his 2 guards to find him and come running. Kyle and Luke were in shock. They felt their marks burning on the biceps, but were in too much of a shock from what they were seeing. Izuku is our soulmate, both of them thought. They knew they were connected but not each other's direct soulmate. They could feel each other, but the connection wasn't that of soulmate, but as 2 pieces that required a 3rd piece to be placed between them, which was missing. In their days, they didn't realize it until it was too late, but Izuku's guards had taken Izuku away. Though the kids thought that they were his parents and not guards since they were in plain clothing. Luke and Kyle tried to give chase, but couldn't keep up. We're going to lose sight of our soulmate. They both thought. They arrived back at the playground area, and they couldn't see their soulmate or his parents. As such, they ran over to the guards that their family had watching them. The Clayton, Walton, Woods, and White families all belonged to powerful families in Europe. The Claytons own Europe's largest hero support company. Walton's owns Europe's largest weapons development firm. Woods own Europe's largest entrainment and media company. And the White family owns Europe's largest healthcare and drug company. They told them that they needed to get to their parents as soon as possible since they had found their soulmate who had just been taken away by his parents. Izuku POV. It hurts. Why does my body hurt so much? The pain had changed from my right and left biceps to my stomach and lower region area now. It hurts so much. It feels like my body is on fire. I want Dad. Please. Dad. Izuku cried out. Third POV. The guards were moving as fast as they could. One guard had called into the main base and alerted them of the situation and told them to get the medical team ready in the building. There's a tactical assault team near us that will meet up and guard us on the way back. Hisashi has been informed, and he is pissed that something has happened to Izuku, said Dale. Kate could only agree with Hisashi feeling right now. How could they mess up and let Izuku get attacked somehow on a simple trip to the park? It was unlikely that they would have their jobs after this. They might not have their lives if Izuku doesn't make it out of this. Soon Cade noticed the tactical assault team pull ahead and behind them. They were 5 minutes away, and it seemed like the pain that Izuku was in was only getting worse. Soon they pulled up to the building and went directly into the garage area. There was a medical team waiting with Hisashi Midoriya. What the hell happened? He yelled out. Sir, we lost Izuku after he followed 2 kids around his age into the forest. We arrived after hearing a scream from him since we were trying to find him when he went out of our sight. There was only a window of about 3 minutes between us losing him and him screaming. There are no visible wounds that we can see, Kate stated. The medical team rolled Izuku into the medical wing and started looking him over and doing tests. Time skip. Third POV. About 1 hour had passed since they had gotten Izuku back to the base. The results were back and the doctors were confused like hell. Sir, we have the results, and we believe we found the reason he was in so much pain, the doctor said. Hisashi was just worried at this point. The doctor soon showed a picture of Izuku's bicep and explained that he now had 2 new tattoos or markings on his body, but he also received some other things. He also received a new organ system. It appears to be an organ that will allow him to reproduce. We brought in the agent who can figure out quirks. He looked at Izuku again and saw that the hidden power or quirk has been triggered. Whatever happened in that forest triggered the power which resulted in the new marks and new organ system. From what the agent has stated, the new marks are soulmate marks and the new organ is due to the marks. It will allow him to reproduce for his soulmates if they ever attempt to have a child, the doctor said. Hisashi was just confused and asked for more details which the doctor gave. Based on the results, the organ and marks aren't fully active. It requires another step from both sides to complete the bond. The organ is also useless without the bond being completed, and only the soulmates can ever use the organ to get the young master pregnant, but it requires his consent to have it work as well. So we don't have to worry about someone random ever getting the young master pregnant. It also appears the marks provide a boost in healing abilities and acts as a GPS to his soulmates when it's activated. The mark will also burn slightly whenever he meets his soulmates and hasn't completed the bond, the doctor finished saying. Hisashi was happy his son wasn't in danger of death. He was annoyed that his son now has 2 new soulmates that he knows nothing about, but is interested in how that relationship will go. Hisashi then goes to find the guards, and he finds them waiting outside. You know why I'm here, correct? He asked. The guards nodded. You are lucky my son isn't dead, or else this would be the second son I would have lost. Though his pain isn't your fault. It seems his third hidden power was triggered by the 2 boys he was with. They are his soulmates, which means we now have to find them, Hisashi said. The guard gave the information they knew, which was just their first name and a general description. For some reason, Hisashi felt like he knew who they were, but couldn't place it. You 2 will not be killed or fired today. Though my son escaped your sight, it's your job to always keep your client in your line of sight of at least one of you at all times. You 2 will become permanent guards to my son whenever he needs an escort somewhere. There will be other guards as well until you 2 have enough experience to be by yourself. You're now on guard duty for life, so you better get training for any situation and take any free mission in your free time when my son doesn't need you, because his word is the law now for you both. Do you understand? Hisashi asked. The guards agreed and thanked him. We will gladly do guard duty for the young master. It indeed was our fault since we didn't keep him in eyesight or even get more details out of the kids. We really screwed up, thought both Dale and Kate. This was a punishment, but also a reward if they can handle doing guard duty for life. If they stay by Izuku's side for his life, it means they would be in the center of power when Izuku takes over for Hisashi. As such, it was a punishment and a reward if they could push to the end. Third POV. Several hours had passed since the doctors had figured out what happened. Izuku had started to wake up and was calling for his dad. Dad, Dad. Izuku was crying out. I'm here, son. You're going to be okay, Hisashi said as he came over to Izuku and rubbed Izuku's head. Soon Izuku's eyes opened and he saw his father sitting there. I'm sorry. It seems I can't go anywhere without being hurt, Izuku said. This made Hisashi's heart hurt since this wasn't Izuku's fault at all, and also the fact that Izuku believes that all of the pain he has suffered was his fault. It isn't your fault. The pain was caused by the hidden power inside your body. It seems those two boys you met were the trigger for it, Hisashi said. Izuku was stunned for a few seconds. The third power in his body was activated? What exactly did the two boys trigger in him? What did they trigger? Izuku asked. Then Hisashi looked a bit around and dismissed anyone that was in the room except the main doctor because he believed Izuku would want some privacy about his new condition. Well, son, it triggered some changes in and on your body. Do you know the agent I had look at your quirks last time? Izuku said yes. Well, he came again and helped the doctors, Hisashi said with a bit of silence and then started again. Son, the power or the third quirk, in this case, it's called soulmate bond, Hisashi said. Izuku knew what a soulmate was, but he couldn't believe that he had a soulmate. So I have a soulmate. How does that work and why was my body in so much pain? Izuku asked. Izuku's heart was more or less closed off to being loved by others except for Fong, who didn't judge him for being quirkless and helped him train, and his new dad, who providing him a new home and the chance at a new life. He's learned not to open his heart to others too much, and only do so once they prove themselves to him. Well, the soulmate bond is actually two soulmate bonds. It seems you have two soulmates. It's both of those boys. The pain is due to the bond being awaked in your body to prepare you for a relationship with them. First, you have two new marks on your body. One looks like a lighting kitsune, and then another is a void kitsune, Hisashi said as he pulled a mirror out so Izuku could see them better on his biceps. Soulmate marks look like this. Imagine one is white with lighting and another is black like below with void energy around it. When they are activated fully, the marks will take a green tint to the lighting and void energy. I like how the marks look. However, that doesn't explain the pain across my body, does it? Izuku asked a bit weary. Indeed, son. You are smart and would notice that. The soulmate marks, when fully activated when each soulmate kisses each other's respective mark, will grant each side an increased healing ability, and the marks will allow you to sense your soulmate's emotions and act as a GPS for you to find them, Hisashi said, while stalling a bit for the last part since he doesn't know how Izuku would act. You're stalling, Dad, Izuku said. Indeed. It granted one more thing. This last thing, like the others, is useless until you activate the bond completely. The mark will tell you if you're ever close to your soulmate again. Now, the part I've been stalling on. Izuku, the soulmate bond adapted your body to bear children, Hisashi said while reading his son's face. Izuku was just shocked. His body was adapted to bear children. What did that truly mean for him is the question. Can you explain a bit more about the change to my body? Izuku asked. It means that you have a brand new organ in your body that only the two other boys can use. Whenever you find them and finish the bond, you three can have you bear a child for you all if you consent to it. Meaning if you had slept with those two boys later in life, then if you had the desire to bear a child at that moment, your body's new organ would activate and allow you to get pregnant. You can't have children with any other males besides those two. The organ is useless without those two, Hisashi said. Izuku was stunned. Izuku always knew he was gay for a while since his female classmates never interested him, but he didn't think he would ever have a child because he was gay. He always thought he would have to adopt a child to fill that need if he wanted one, but now he could have a child if a relationship with those two boys happened in the future. However, make no mistake, Izuku isn't going to just open his heart for two random boys because of a quirk. Nope, they will have to work for it. I understand and am a bit happy about that change. I'm gay, Dad, Izuku said with a bit of nervousness. Hisashi wasn't that shocked since he had a feeling his son was based on how Izuku would look at the male members of his group more than the females. Izuku was still young, but Hisashi knew that Izuku was more mature due to his childhood. As such, Hisashi expected him to be a bit more knowledgeable in the opposite gender, but still inexperienced. I had a feel, son, and it doesn't matter to me. However, what are you wanting to do about your two soulmates? Do you want to find them? Hisashi asked. Yes and no. Even if I find them, it doesn't mean I will start a relationship with them. You know my childhood. As such, if they want to gain my heart, they will need to work for it. I'm not going to just open my heart and give myself to them without them treating me correctly. You're the wealthiest man in the world and have an army behind you. So even if they are rich, they can't buy me off with things. Izuku said while taking a breath. Then he went on to say a bit more. They will need to put their hearts into it and work for me to accept them. If they aren't willing to do so, then they don't deserve me. I am gay, found them cute, and wouldn't be against exploring a possible relationship with them. However, just because the universe and fate said that they are meant to be my soulmates doesn't mean I will just accept it if they refuse to work for it. I refuse to be tied down just because of a quirk. Izuku said. Hisashi was happy that Izuku was refusing to be tied down just because of a quirk. He was happy that his son was wanting his own free will outside of the soulmate mark. Hisashi has heard of other soulmate marks before, and all of those relationships went amazing, but it still doesn't concern Hisashi as a father on who the two boys are and how they would treat his son. He's protective even more. Now that his son can get pregnant. Time skip. Soon Izuku had finished talking with Hisashi and felt like he could walk again. Hisashi did explain to him that he now had 2 permanent guards, which were the 2 new agents, as punishment for them. Anything you want they will do. If you want them to jump from a bridge into a river, then they shall do it. It's their punishment, but also a reward if they are willing to protect you and stay by your side to the end, since you will take over Titan in the future. Hisashi explained, and Izuku accepted this. After eating lunch for the day, Hisashi explained that he had plans to introduce Izuku to the board of directors for the business, but that could be delayed if Izuku didn't feel up to it since the events of today had just happened. Izuku wanted the meeting to keep going. He wouldn't give the board of directors a reason to reject him and cause his father problems. As such, it was decided that they would go meet the board in about 1 hour when they all arrived downstairs. Hisashi had called a tailor and had a suit made to fit Izuku. Imagine a younger version that is 10-year-old but has this suit on. Looking good, son. Now let's head downstairs and start this meeting, Hisashi said. After about 5 minutes of walking through hallways, they soon arrived at a room. Hisashi just opened the door without knocking, and Izuku came into the room and saw a room filled people, board members sitting at a table. Welcome, sir, said one of the board members. Everyone got up and bowed their heads a bit at Hisashi, and then they saw Izuku. They heard some rumors about him, but now it was confirmed that he was real. Izuku pulled up a chair and sat down next to his father, who sat at the head of the table. Please sit, everyone. I want to introduce my son to you all. He will lead the Titan group and all of the business in the future. All of the Titan's leaders have already approved of my son the first time they met him and have started to train my son in everything he will need to lead the Titan group in the future, Hisashi said. They could hear some people whisper, and some were nodding their heads. Sir, no disrespect, but how can we know this random child you picked off the street will be a good fit to run the business? One member asked. Everyone turned to look at him. I expected at least one person on the board to say something. It's not like the Titans group where they all gave in due to Fong approval, thought Hisashi. Hisashi was surprised though when Izuku spoke up. That is a valid point, sir. However, no one is born a perfect or good fit for anything. Everyone here went through training and education to fill the role that you are now in. All I ask is that you trust my father's judgment and watch my growth. I am willing to meet any challenge this board sets in front of me. It will be a long time before my father starts to step back from leading Titan or his companies. As such, we have time for any challenge you want to throw at me, sir, Izuku said with his back straight and eyes full of determination. Hisashi and the other members of the board were impressed with Izuku's resolve and willingness to take on the opposing board member challenge. Good, good. You have a strong backbone. I'm willing to back down and watch your improvement and how you will overcome the challenges we place in front of you. Otherwise, you seem like you will grow into your father's position, the opposing board member said. Everyone was a bit surprised since this board member was known as the more hardliner member of the board. Soon the meeting moved forward and they talked about how the overall corporation was doing. Izuku found out that his father's corporation was a conglomerate of many businesses. They had their hand in pretty much everything and anything. Though they were not number 1 in Europe, they were number 1 in a lot of other things in the world. Izuku started to take notes and look over budget sheets that were presented to everyone. Now don't let it be said that Izuku claims to be an expert in the business field, but he can say he is very good at running numbers and analyzing things. Izuku noticed something off about the statements. One statement was produced by the accounting department, and another was produced by some internal programs that pull the numbers from the individual companies. Izuku noticed there was about a $500,000 difference in sales between a company that produces electrical parts for the other business that his father owns and what the accounting department reported to the board. Companies were reporting higher sales than what the accounting department was showing. It wasn't all in one large amount, but more about $40,000 difference each month. That was a bit weird because there wasn't enough expense reported by the business to account for this gap, but the accounting department did report for it. You don't need to stress about understanding the financials. You will learn with time, Hisashi said, which caught Izuku's attention. He saw everyone looking at him. It's not that I don't understand them. For the most part, I do. But one section caught my attention, and the numbers don't add up from what Company A is reporting and what accounting that complies everything for this meeting is reporting. There is about a $500,000 gap for the entire fiscal year that the accounting Company A and accounting reported. There are also no expenses that Company A reported that would make up for the gap that the accounting does report, which eats up the excess $500,000 that Company A reported it earned. Izuku said while showing his father where he was looking at and his notes. Hisashi looked at the documents thinking his son was just misreading, but soon discovered the same thing. The numbers don't add up. You are correct in reading the numbers, son. It seems someone is embezzling from our company, Hisashi said. This made everyone in the room start looking at where Izuku pointed out. I suggest hiring a third-party watchdog to run an audit of the accounting department to determine how widespread the embezzlement is running and to find out who is all involved on any level, Izuku recommended. Some of the board members looked like they wanted to object to allowing a third party in their company records. This would show the public that invests in the other companies that we own that we have their interest at heart and are taking the matter with utmost importance and will deal with anyone on any level that is involved with the embezzlement, Izuku said. Though the parent company was a private one, it owns a lot of the others that were public. As such, Izuku's recommendation would show they were dealing with the problem and also keep the investors' trust that no one from the parent company board of directors had their hand in the cookie jar. I have to agree. A lot of our companies that we own are still public and haven't been turned private. The company that is affected that we know of is a public one. As such, it will be important that we show the investors we are going to deal with anyone on any level that had their hand in the cookie jar, Hisashi said, backing up his son since the proposal was a smart one. The board soon agreed since they had no other options that would ease the investors' worries. It seems you are better suited for this work than I thought, Izuku. I look forward to the future, stated the board member that had spoken out against Izuku when he was first introduced. Hisashi was happy with this result since Izuku was working on the hardliner members at a faster rate than he thought possible. Time skip. The meeting came to an end and Izuku returned with his father to their living room. Good job in the meeting, son. You have impressed the Titans leader and the board of directors. Keep it up, and there will be no one objecting to you taking over for me in the future, Hisashi said as he was cooking. Thank you, Dad, Izuku said. Soon they were eating and Hisashi decided to bring up his training and education. Son, you will start middle school in the coming months. You've been keeping up with your language skills. As such, I see no problem with you attending school. I know you would rather just be homeschooled, but you need to make friends your age since you need communication skills for when you go to high school for heroics. The middle school that you will attend is called Frankfurt Advanced Education. Once you are done there, you will attend the world's top hero school called Frankfurt High Advanced Education, or FHAE for short. Both schools are connected and will help complete a smooth transition between them, Hisashi said. Izuku was thrilled to go to a new school. People wouldn't bully him because he was quirkless anymore since he had his quirk now. Also, Europe had better laws protecting quirkless people as well. Also, about 1 month before you attend the middle school, we will be attending a party that I was invited to. I will introduce you to other power families that you may end up working with in the future. This will also allow you to meet some of their kids. I know some are spoiled, but other families educated their children to be humble and grow up knowing the value of money so that they don't destroy the family business when they take over, Hisashi said. As such, Izuku would start taking on more education to get him prepared for the formal party so he doesn't embarrass himself. It was also decided that Hisashi would have doctors and trainers prepared to figure out how to best prepare his body for his quirk training so Izuku would be ready since Frankfurt has quirk training classes. So, this was the end of part 1 of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.